Hi everyone, welcome back to the Frequency Hub.
Welcome
Hey
back.
Memuna,
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Right on.
So, yeah, but before we got on here, we were talking about, well, the ascension process is what we had been talking about previously, and just how it's actually quite an intense process, and maybe it would be good to kind of take a step back or talk
Yeah.
about what's before this ascension process. And I'm curious to talk about, well, I'm sure a lot of people are too, what's going on with the world globally, um,
Yeah.
and to discuss pain and the
Mhm.
pain behind the lies. There's a lot of pain getting kicked up, a lot of chaos, the dysfunction of our world and the many institutions and systems is getting kicked up and exposed, and in everybody's faces, or in most people's faces, are starting to see this stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to kind of talk about the macrocosmic level um, of the pain and the possible precursors to um, an ascension, or this frequency being
Yeah.
released on the planet.
Yeah. I mean, so right away, like ascension is about the collapse of false structure.
Mhm.
So when we look at the world, and for those who are waking up and those who have already been awakened, we can stand and attest to the fact that the world is, the matrix is a false structure. It's built on fear, it's built on greed, lust, you know, all these exciting feelings. And that was so it's revealing to itself that it's, in the end, it's not correct. It doesn't
Right.
have it had kind of like, it has a driving force, but it doesn't have the long haul. And so, like, there's a whole breakdown going on the planet, and hopefully there's a lot of individuals who are going through the breakdown too. And the good news is it all leads towards a raising of consciousness. The bad news is that it does bring up energies like pain and suffering and grief, sadness, despair. These are very real, like I think I talked about in an earlier video, just the lower, on the spectrum of ascension, like expanding or rising, we get to meet these frequencies that are of the lower realm.
Hmm.
And the thing is, we need to experience them.
Right.
We can't lock in this ascension until we experience what's holding it down.
Hmm.
And that's a lot of just low grade energy. And so low grade energy naturally comes with pain. Pain is a great teacher. It's a great amplifier of that which is not correct or in alignment, in balance. Balance is a key word for ascension. So, some people might hear that word, excuse me, think like ready, set, blast off, because some days it is like that. But, you ain't going to blast off and get anywhere unless you can hold the balance. And that's very serious work. I would call that the work of the mystics. That's the work that I'm doing. And it makes no time for funny business. And if there is funny business around, you figure out how that funny business helps your ascension process. And like, I think globally right now, what we're being confronted with is that there's a lot of funny business going on.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
to just talk about the precursor to all this, you just mentioned balance, and maybe part of this too is accepting and, like, waking up to the fact that of how much imbalance there really is. I think, I mean, if I just look at my own life, I was sharing a little bit my some of my experience over the last 10 years and what really kind of triggered my own spiritual journey. It started out with an incredible amount of pain and suffering, and but also becoming aware that I was in pain and suffering. I mean, I remember being in college, and I guess is a fairly typical college experience in a lot of ways, but I was basically numbing myself with partying and just alcohol and drugs and whatever, and trying to bury what was going on in the depths of my being. And I guess at some point along the way, I got sick of that, or I realized it wasn't actually doing anything, and it was just festering even more. And so I kind of had this aha moment of like realizing how much pain I was in, but it wasn't like an aha and then all of a sudden I feel better. It was like, holy fuck, this is miserable. Like, I don't want to live like this anymore, or like there's got to be something more to life than this. And yeah, I imagine there's probably, there's people that are like yourself that have been fully immersed in this greater ascension process, and there are those that are just beginning. There are those that are still trying to like hold on to the illusion, or bury the pain. Or
So let's talk about the illusion. Like, that's I'm not the kind of teacher or master that teaches stuff like it's just an illusion. Know, if I'm going to say something, I'm going to have some evidence to back it up, so I get pretty it's like an engineer or mechanic or scientist or what have you. It's empirical, my process. So, but illusion, we get confronted with this, with what the illusion is. And I think that this is a great target here about what pain and where pain manifests, because ultimately I have come to understand and, therefore believe that we're like manifestation beings. We have the power to manifest. And I believe what's going on the planet right now is that power has been robbed from us from the beginnings. The power to manifest with source, the power to manifest in a direct conversation with source, and the technique and the technology to go along with that. I think that that's what ultimately we've been robbed from. I mean, right there, that's the end game right there. So what we're dealing with is that we've been, brainwashed. I don't know. I don't like all these dark words. It's just we've been stupefied. We've been.
Well, it seems that our own powers of manifestation have been inverted to be used against us.
Yeah. Well, to make us stupid. I think it's this whole narcissist empath template that's really come to the surface. There was this recent story about this girl who was kidnapped, or whatever. She wasn't kidnapped, but anyway, I don't want to say names because I don't want to go there. But it all leads into like this whole narcissist empath template. And the thing is, there is this narcissist archetype on the planet, and at the bottom of, at the very core of this archetype, its function is to destroy the other totally. And the thing is, when this narcissist meets the spiritual master, which I would consider myself to be along the journey, because I've been challenged with a lot of these things, and I seem to be coming off as the winner, and that's something I sit in my throne with today. That is a well-earned statement. I'm not just throwing that out. but like being the winner of the game. And it doesn't matter what spiritual pursuit you're practicing, you know, there's this narcissist figure out there. And it's been, I think this is what's been governing the world in this divide that we've created in politics. And it's a narcissistic energy. And let me just tune in to really give it justice. The narcissist empath, which is what creates a lot of pain, this dynamic. I do believe that this is inside all great pain with anybody. Because if you track it down, you're going to track it to a dynamic between a man and a woman, generically. And there's going to be a narcissist and an empath. And inside that dynamic, there's going to be a burden. And that burden is like a hot potato that the empath ultimately in relationship will carry because she knows her strength is greater than her mind. She's spiritual. And whereas the narcissist is in it for the gain, so he ends up, utilizing her energy in their exchange. And this could be groups. I mean, this is just a micro macro, and he utilizes her energy, and her love is unconditional. So she loves the narcissist unconditionally, which is what it means. And he sees the energy of true source and its unconditional love. And he takes that and goes out to build his kingdom. But what he doesn't understand is that he tries to replace the queen with, a courtesan or a concubine or just a fucking peasant girl. And he's delusioned the whole time because he's allowed to have access to this empath who's a queen, who's the more spiritual part of this dual dynamic that's happening, not just on planet Earth with politics and governments and the this and the that, but it's happening inside homes. And the female is not, this is the deeper education. And ultimately that empath needs to take her power back and needs to take her responsibility and accept what she's done. And she's let down her boundaries for someone who sees not who she is. And then she realizes her deeper wounds and she goes into, the recovery of herself and this deep, deep awakening around the wounding process, around being completely just shat on for being fucking amazing and given nothing, no position, no reciprocation. So she's left to deal with the wounding. And as far as I'm concerned on this planet, there's a large majority of feminine energies. Again, this isn't defining on your sex. You can be a man or a woman, but this feminine energy is taking her power back. And she's done it through pain. Pain has been her greatest teacher. And she's done it in silence, in the quiet. And the narcissist has masqueraded and tromped around while she's done her healing. And I believe today he's getting to realize, that the trick was on him. He was tricked by his own tomfoolery. I mean, today for me, in an honest, soulful place, it's important for me to feel the grief of what I know about this process, because it's in the grief that I reclaim back my power and my righteousness as a, sovereign being. And this is what's going on the planet. And is there, correct direction and instruction around how to do this? Yeah, there's people talking about it. There are people talking about it. So pain is essentially what that comes down to in a scientific or like a chemical equation is that it's painful because it's not who you are. And so, we talk about the pharmaceutical, explosion that's happened in the last 10, I don't even know how long, 10 years. But it's like there's a lot of pharmaceuticals for mental illness, and mental illness is a precursor to, like the symptoms of mental illness are a precursor to awakening. And awakening, what I'm talking about, is the complete annihilation of the false structure that says I am who I think I am. And that's a scary thing to lose in this world, because this world, well, it's melting away, you know. I mean, I'm talking to people, and people are talking about how this, you know, the global structure is melting, and it's in, you know, it's in divine time that this is happening. So I feel like this, you know, inversion program is to reach out and to just create the imprint for those who just don't have a freaking clue about what the ascension process really is, but like, wake up, because it's in your face, people.
Mm-hmm. So I have there's a question coming up about the responsibility of the narcissist. Like, what is the narcissist's responsibility? It's, I mean, it's, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like a lot of the cause of this dynamic is potentially the avoidance of the pain by the narcissist, or the transference of it onto the feminine, or something like that. What,
Yeah,
it's like, if a narcissist is able to, even for a split second, like break out of the narcissistic ignorance or
it's
view
a
or whatever.
mold. The mold. It's a mold.
What
You know,
is
when they say breaking the
the
mold.
work for the narcissist? Like, and I could
Let's
probably
we'll,
talk for hours about
we'll
that.
put how much this costs down below anyway. But the bottom line, yeah, what is the work for the narcissist? I think the narcissist, in the end, I think it's the empathic beings, the spiritual beings, the sensitive beings, the loving beings that get, you know, connected with these people. Where, I mean, it's a match made in heaven when it comes down to it. So it's not like it's, you know, there's some devil and an angel in all this. That's not what this is about. These are just the split mind. This is the dual mind acting itself out. And the thing is, the level of narcissism I'm talking about is in relationship to true love. You know, true love, there's nothing that will make a narcissist more narcissist than meeting true love. Mm. Because in the narcissist, they're incapable of going within to get their approval. I mean, self-approval, self-validation. I mean, when it's not at the cost of another human being, you know what I'm saying? It's like when it's mature, that's where humanity's going. I mean, we're not there yet, because there's so much entanglement, and everyone's, you know, having their conversations and being censored from having their conversations. And we got to dig deeper. We got to dig deeper. We got to go past this like conversation of like, he said, she said. Although those are very important conversations to have too, you know, and they are being had, and they are filling in a lot of the blanks for a lot of people, you know, because once we get a certain kind of an understanding of why behavior functions a certain way, we can let go. And, you know, today the word, I think I said it the other day, but I came again across it again today, and the word is relief. Mm. And the thing is, what we're looking for on a spiritual, like cellular level, is relief. And I think that the narcissist, you know, they get relief through, you know, how it would, I say, I'm like using people, and I think the justification is that, like, they feel relief because that's where they feel like they're being held by God or source, you know. It's like, so they use people to get what they need. And most often it's done with the lower chakras, you know, so it becomes kind of a sexual manipulation and a control game. And, But this is what they've been taught, and this is because they're not connected to source.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the narcissist empath is kind of this crude joke around, hi, source, meet source. And like, you know, the empath doesn't know their source until they meet the narcissist. And then they realize that they're just as good as the narcissist because they're a freaking mess too. And, you know, the empath, which is normally a feminine energy, this is why it's the rise of the feminine, you know, because it's the feminine who's not afraid to look at pain. And whereas the masculine is, he's a, you know, ironically, he's a pussy. He's a wimp. He doesn't know how to go inside that pain and release himself, detach himself from the emotional bondage of his caretakers.
Mm-hmm.
He's got caretakers all around him. You know, it's the stage with the props and the people and the things. And he's completely identified with it so much that that's who he thinks he is. And I am using the word he because I am going to, you know, put it into the masculine gender. And the female, you know, she serves love and she discovers that she wants to give to this thing that ultimately wants to only save itself. It doesn't really care about her well-being. And she gets to see where she's been, you know, programmed out of neglect. And, you know, so she deeply inside believes in being neglected is kind of cool. You know, it's kind of okay. But in the end, it's not. It's not okay, just the same way the narcissist, you know, defense mechanisms are not okay. So nobody's better or worse here in this situation. It's just it's awakening that's coming. And this is the template where true awakening is happening because it's the divine feminine that is waking up. She does not have a choice. And ultimately, what she's choosing is her true north. So the divine feminine goes towards her north node, which is her purpose. And I feel like this is what humanity is trying to figure out, is how to get to its north node, to its purpose, and to no longer, you know, give its energy to these games. I mean, I said to you in the last week, this is what's really happening on the planet. It's a really bad parenting program that's like, you know, coming down. I mean, it's so dumb. It's just like to be in the presence of any individual and to be able to just like scan their parental programming and how they believe themselves to be your parent too. You know, it's like, it's just so not where the future is going, because that's part of the collapse that needs to happen in the ascension. So that's why I want to stop here at this conversation and not go forward to ascension symptoms, because it's like, are people even aware that they're running? They think they're parenting other people. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking to draw attention to this template you're talking about of the narcissist and the empath, and that it is in fact internal, meaning, you know, because like I'm a man, obviously, and I've been very much operated in the narcissistic side of things, but I've also maybe just as much been empathic with certain relationships. And I remember you actually cleared this template on me several weeks ago, and but you know, through kind of the inner observation before that or during that process, I really could see that there was a narcissist and an empath inside of each other, inside of me. You know, there was kind of stuck in this dynamic. And so, yeah, I guess I'm just saying that because there's definitely, it seems like there's a lot of victim consciousness around all this, and maybe there's men listening that have resistance to being the narcissist, or women that are getting too identified with being the empath and blaming the other, and that this is in fact an interplay in each one of us. And yeah, I know for me, it definitely is. It has been internalized process that I kind of picked up and learned from my parents and their parents, and just kind of this generational pattern.
It goes back to the lie, it's that video talking about, we're taught to lie. It all starts there. It's not like it's our fault. Yeah, I think that it's important to just have compassion. I think compassion is a really powerful energy around this phenomenon that we're confronting. And yeah, we got to just look inside. I mean, that's look inside. I think I'm right. Like, what the hell does that mean? Anyway, so people are, going within. They're, some people think it's religious, like you go and pray with God. And you know what? I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to sit here and tell people that doesn't have any value. It's like, at the end of the day, we're talking to some other force. And it's like, if it's not your personality and not your ego, then it must be a higher self. It must be a higher spirit, And that's what we've gotten taken away from us. That's what we got taught. All the churches are corrupt. It's like, wake up. I mean, they're disgusting. They're disgusting. I knew this as a child going into a church. You just smell a fucking church. It's disgusting. It smells like, it's just some kind of stale energy. It's stale and it's decrepit and it reeks of like deception. And it's like, wow, they're all corrupt. Everything's corrupt on the planet. That's the wake up, guys. That's the wake up. Everything's corrupt. Everything you read in a book, all of it, it's corrupt. It's none of it's real. It's all a lie. That's the big wake up. This is the big, the cognitive dissonance is like wanting to come to some kind of conclusion in your fucking mind about what's going on. But that's where the ascension kicks in, because there's going to be no conclusion in the mind here. This tower's got to fucking collapse. We're born into this, this corporate soil. We're born into a corporation, and we're born into a business. There's no sanctity about our birth. And so I've been like, in this discovery, and I think I'm starting to understand what like born again is like this whole born again Christian, or Christ wants you to be born again. It's because, the first time you're born, you're just bought as a bitch, as a slave. That's all you are. That's all we are. That's all I am in this world, in this 3D. But to be born again is to awaken to your spiritual power, and that none of that owns anything. It doesn't have anything on you. That's what the real wholesome energy of being born again is. And I don't have some scripture outside of this. I don't have some scripture inside of this. I have a direct experience of what this is about. Being born again unto the soul's awakeness, the soul's awareness, not being birthed and justified into a corporate, mind fuck, because that's what everybody's in. And it's compartmentalized, and that compartmentalization makes for control issues. And then the control issues start to off kilter the balance. And it's starting to tell the universe that you think you have more power than the universe. And, and then it goes askew, and then, and then there's money. Anyway, the money, the currency of money, and what that's about, it's like, that's, in my exploration, the money on the planet is it's hostage. The money's hostage on the planet. So just,
yeah, I mean, I think of the phrase, which I don't really prescribe to, but it's the phrase money is the root of all evil. I don't think it is, but it's certainly been it's certainly been alive up to this point.
Well, why is it the root of all evil? Do you even understand what that's saying? Like a
Well,
religious mind will take that and get on their broomstick and go and put curses on everybody. It's like, it's like, let's get to the truth of what that means. Money is the root of all evil.
I think it points to greed.
Yeah.
And then to expand greed, not just financially, but energetically and mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of it.
And what is greed? What makes greed?
I would think it relates to fear of not having enough.
Lack.
Yeah. Fear of not having any, fear of yeah.
So
fear of
like
not being in control, needing to be in control by, having all the resources or having all the knowledge or.
Yeah. I mean, being in control by having resource and knowledge, that's where the deep inversion is. It's like, how would they do that? I don't even know. Like, this inversion is because the ones who have the knowledge and the resource, which is source, those are the ones who are living in abundance. We're coming into abundance. This inversion is going out of lack into abundance. It really is that simple. It's going from ego to spirit.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe in your spirit, you're being guided. If you believe in your ego, then you're being controlled. And people don't know how to make this distinction because this is not the education that we've received. We've received some education. God only knows what it's good for. I don't even fucking know.
Well, indoctrination, that you've been doing a lot around that.
You're going to clear it again.
That word. And
indoctrination. All the imprint of indoctrination on the frequency of just clear it. Clear its effect, clear its impact, clear its influence, because it truly knows not what it's talking about. When it comes to being in relationship to source, it's the indoctrinated mind believes in the third dimension. It believes in the tangible world. It literally believes in the tangible world. And this is the corruption on our planet. This is what births it. And the thing is, it's like they're not taught to believe in their spirit because the parenting system has no fucking clue about this. So it's all demonic and evil. It's evil. It's the devil. It's the adversary. It's the one who wants to get inside your business in order to tinker with it so that it can manipulate and control the scenario. And it's going to allude to you that it's your friend and that you're buddies. And then that's what you'll rest your haunches on. That's what you'll merge your spinal energies with. And we haven't been taught as a humanity to understand what the function of that is going on there. These media forces have made fun of that, the devil on your shoulder, the angel on your shoulder. Mm-hmm. But in the end, this isn't a process of duality where it's like there's a devil and an angel and you side with the angel. That's not what this is about at the frequency hub. It's a complete annihilation of that whole construct altogether. Like if that was like the icing on the cake, a fucking devil and an angel, I'm just going to take that icing up off my cake, throw it out of the atmosphere, and open up to what really wants to be in the cake of my own good fortune, And here's the thing. This all comes down to manifestation. We're here to create and co-create. And all the narcissists and all the people who haven't tapped spirituality and all the people who have taught manifestation and aren't truly connected to source, because God knows there are those who are. Those who are teaching this in order to earn a living without actually having the direct connect. that's what's coming to an end. That's the narcissist. It's just it's the exhaustion. It's the extinction. I'll claim it here. It's not the extinction of the dinosaur. It's the extinction of this template. What happens in the end is that people put all their weapons of sexuality down, because God knows everyone's walking around with their weapons of sexuality. You know, everyone is. I don't know if I could encounter one human being on this planet to stand before me and not be holding weapons of sexuality. And in the end of this transformation, those weapons are completely outmoded and a waste of time. I mean, I just think we just took a grand tour around the frequency.
Yeah.
we just got, it was like Willy Wonka and the chocolate. we just got in a ride, and we just got a grand tour. So welcome back to the Frequency Hub. This is what it's about. You know, it's for it, and the thing is, for me to say it's for the bold and courageous anymore, it's like, this is where I get to sit back and sigh, a big sigh of relief, because I can see with my own eyes and with my own experience that existence, universe, spirit, God, force, nature, this thing is holding us accountable now.
Yeah.
And I just maybe want to end this whole talk here with just giving massive gratitude to spirit and to nature and the force of creation, and how it is smarter than any of us think we are, and that to surrender to it, which is another word, would be to pray to it or to meditate with it. These are all just different ways of being with it. And the it I want to proclaim here is the power of source, is the power of spirit, taking it off the mind, putting it on spirit. And that's really what we're headed towards. And that's what the Frequency Hub is that's what's navigating itself here, is this guidance. And so it's a joy to bring this information. I really appreciate you sharing everything you have and contributing to this conversation that I think is so important for the collective. And again, this project is, you know, it's for the good of humanity. It's to debrief and debunk and to redefine through a non-verbal, you know, through a non-cognitive way, what the truth is, what the actual truth is. So I feel, yeah. Anyway, so beautiful. What are you going to say now?
That's it. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Memuna, for that. And
thank you.
Thanks everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Creator. Thank you, Spirit.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Spirit. I definitely want to give all credence to Spirit and to the power of Spirit, and that Spirit lives whether you have eyes to see it or no eyes to see it. Spirit is here regardless. And I feel like that's the deeper surrendering coming. And this is what our, you know, future little conversations here will be continually governing themselves towards. You know, it's towards the union of self, the union of the divine truth, the awakened knowing, the awakened realization, that which is all that is, you know, all these things. And we're in a very turbulent time. So we are here to, yeah, I don't know. We're on the water. We're on the waters here. We're guiding the way, hopefully. Yep. Right?
Yep. All right. Well, we'll see you next time, everyone.
We shall. Okay. Bye.
Bye.